Hi, Chandan. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, ma'am. Good to see you again. I'm really glad to see you.
Yeah. Same here. So, what do you want to do today? What should we talk about? Do you have something in mind? Or, as usual, do you want me to bombard you with questions and get you to think a lot? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I think today we are going to discuss as usual because I do not have any specific questions to raise
Okay.
here.
All right. So, why don't you tell me something that I've been thinking about this for quite a while when we are looking at English, right? So, we have learners, and I think this is something that we can all relate to. Because when you learn the language, because we are not native speakers of the language, right? There's lesser chance for us to practice it in person than perhaps a native speaker might. And so the problem is we might have a good grasp on the vocabulary, we might have a good grasp on the grammar, we might know how a word is pronounced, how it's used in a sentence, all the other associated technicalities of English. If you're looking at the active, passive voice, everything in general. And even if, say, we have a good understanding of all that, even if we know what it all means and if we know how to sustain a conversation, what I've seen a lot of people struggle with is when they are presented with an opportunity where they have to engage in a conversation. Imagine if they are addressing a consumer complaint, okay, or if they are complaining for a product, or if they are communicating with a delivery agent, or if they're stepping out to order food at a restaurant, what happens is they'll still fumble. So, what do you think is perhaps the reason for that?
Because of having incomplete experience about multiple areas, vocabularies, and proper, clarity about any concepts. They were not being able to describe the things which is very important to and the sport, I think. So
Okay.
first acquiring more and more experience about particular areas, and then it would be very handy for them, to manifest their describing the things in very convenient with the details, I think.
So what I've noticed, and this sometimes happens with us as well, because I come from a background where I've spoken in this language for quite some time now. But even then, too, sometimes when you're in a situation, you'll be thinking, okay, what is the word that I should use at this situation, or why is it that I'm not getting what I'm trying to channel, right? The translation doesn't work out. So why do you think that happens? Because you look at people who are advanced speakers of the language, but not native. At the same time, to their advantage, but still, there are times when they do struggle to maintain and sustain a conversation. So why do you think that
Mm,
happens?
be- because of not having better approach into this language, because of not maintaining their consistency and going through a lot of adversity and responsibility into their life. That's the reason. They are not fully focused on particular areas, which is very important for them.
So also, but at the same time, too, of course, I completely agree with what you're saying. We need to focus. We need to make sure that we are trying to train ourselves in such a way that even if we are not consistently speaking the language, say on a day-to-day basis, we are still able to sustain a conversation. That comes with self-practice, of course. We discussed this in the last session, right, where we say how we practice on our own, right?
Yes.
Right?
And
Yeah.
maybe a lack of dedication, determinations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, too, but don't you think that perhaps some parts of our native aspects are lost in translation as well? There are some things that we just can't describe in English. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, it happened with me many times, I think, because of not having good approach into this language, because
Yeah.
we didn't discuss about multiple matters with often with people. We have
Mm-hmm.
a limited approach, I would say, like we are repeating our introductions. And some of areas, it's become
Mm-hmm.
quite familiar to us. That's why we are becoming quite fluent while describing that things again and again. But when
Mm-hmm.
times come to describing the different things, if you didn't talk to any personalities, in that
Mm-hmm.
situation, you are getting fumble and having less data to describe the things in convenience, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
may suffer a lot in that situations.
Mm-hmm. So can you describe a situation like that for me? Perhaps one that you remember precisely?
Yeah, I suppose if somebody will ask me about some activities in America, what's happening now? I can't tell anyone because I don't know about anything, right? So this can
Yeah.
be a good example for this.
Yeah. True. And I think this is also quite common when we are trying to explain perhaps things like folk tales or tales that are native. to a country, right? We look at ancient novels, or imagine, okay, so recently there was a series, right? There was an animated series on Mahabharata, I think. It's on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Okay.
So yeah, we were just talking about it randomly, and at that time I realized, okay, the weapons that's used in the Mahabharata, or the character name, or if I'm to describe perhaps Arjuna's chariot, I don't have a word for that in English, right?
Yeah, arrow, arrow. I think they would be holding arrow,
Yeah,
arrow.
yeah, yeah, true. But at the same time, too, it has a specific Sanskrit name, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we cannot translate something like that to English. And if I were to suppose talk to a native speaker, and I'm describing this, and they won't be able to gauge or
Describe
understand
it.
what that means, right? So
You're right.
yeah, yeah. Don't you
So
think that's
that's why, the my questions ever for to the learners, like as much as you, if you acquire the knowledge and experience, as better as you can be the proficient into this language and you can describe the things in very fluent manner, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. True, true. At the same time, too, for example, if you look at certain sentences, right, that you might use in your native language, and even if you do literally end up translating it to English, it might not have the same intensity. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So, for example, if I'm to use Hindi and I'm saying, ab kya kar loge hum? Okay. Oh, okay. If I were to say that, okay. And if I were to
Yes.
translate that literally to English, and if I were to say, now, what are we going to do? Okay. It might not have the same literal.
Quite suitable and familiar tone
Yeah,
which you speak
exactly.
in
Yeah.
your native
Yeah.
language. So,
Yeah. And I think even if we were to say, okay, just swap the we for a you. So if I were to say, ab kya karoge? Okay, just that. All right. In
yes.
English, it means, what will you do? But that has a quite different meaning from what you might use it for your native. In native language, it's more like, okay, you messed up. Now, what are you going to do? That is the context with which we use it in Hindi. But in English, it's what will you do? It's a little bit more condescending, if you know what I
It's a
mean.
quite common, yeah. It will never
Yeah.
define the proper attentions which intentionally you you have spoken in Hindi, right? In your
Yeah,
native.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. So I've noticed this quite a lot. It's not just with Hindi. If you look at any other language besides English, when you try to translate it, and I think it goes vice versa as well. There are certain sentences in English that we just cannot translate to other languages as well. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, true. There are words and sentences in English, especially when you look at the idioms. Idioms is a tricky area in English that you just cannot translate or the same feeling with it. Why do you
Yes.
think this, that
Mm-hmm.
difference between the languages and their approach to communication?
Yes. I love, if I especially talk about me, I love to talk on a random topic. I love to talk by,
Mm-hmm.
selecting the random topics because this is the way you can extend your level and having better
Yeah,
approach in it, right?
yeah, yeah. True,
My
true, true.
voice is out. Now,
Is it
can you
echoing?
see?
Is that what you're saying?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. You were saying?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, point. Something is missing.
Mm-hmm.
See there.
Yeah, yeah. You're audible. You're audible. Go ahead, Chandra. I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying?
Yeah, I was just telling you like I love to interact on random topic because this is
Mm-hmm.
the way you can extend your levels. You can have the better approach into this language.
Totally,
People are
totally.
they have a very limited, potential, to just reviewing any statement on any matters, right? So I love to interact on a specific and random matters. So this is the way you can learn out, improve yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, true, true, true. And something that has always piqued my curiosity when we are looking at the language is the underrated part of writing in English, and or even speaking in English as well. Perhaps one of the most underrated aspects of that is the comma. Okay.
Yes,
And the thing is, you put it in the wrong place, the meaning of that sentence might change in its entirety.
entirely has been changed. Yeah.
Yeah. For example, if I were to say, let's eat mother, okay? No. Imagine I know what I meant is okay, let's eat, mother. Okay. But if I were to not put a comma, the whole meaning changes, don't you think?
Yeah, of course I
So I
can
think
be.
the apt usage of comma when it comes to sentences is something that we all fumble with because we do not get it right. Has that ever happened to you where you forgot to pause on the right moment and then the meaning changed in its entirety?
Yeah, it happened earlier time when I used to study in college. That time it used to happen many times.
And I've seen this happen quite commonly when people deliver speeches. For example, if okay, I'm showing my appreciation for something, and if I were to say, "Yes, I'm thankful for this opportunity that I got, and I thank my parents." For example, if I were to say, "I thank my parents and the
Because
principal."
of I am now because of my parent.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then if I thank my parents, the principal, and God. And if I didn't put a comma, automatically my parents become the principal and the God. Right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is quite interesting. So there's a lot of interesting aspects of
Okay, I
English.
have a one questions I want to raise here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
so it's a quite situational questions. I'm going to create now. Religious situation else. Okay,
Okay.
just suppose you're going to stuck in very unpredictable situation in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in that situation, you are getting yourself alone. There is no behind you for supporting that time, and you
Mm-hmm.
have a need for getting support of somebody to just
Mm-hmm.
get out of this situations. In that
Mm-hmm.
situation, finding yourself there only, not anyone over there. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would you like to do?
So, based on what you've described, this is a situation where I am facing a hurdle or an obstacle, and I do not have
Yeah.
somebody as my support system at that time. So, what
Yes,
will
you
I?
are alone there. Yes, you are alone there, and you have to take every decisions by own. What would you
Okay.
like to do?
So, if this is something that's related to English, if I'm
Not English. It's a related
okay,
of life.
okay, in life, and again, don't you think that the context also matters? Now, imagine if I'm in the middle of the road and my car broke down. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll need access to Wi Fi or signal to call somebody, or I'll need to know how to operate a flat tire. Correct?
Oh, you made it quite easier to give your
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah. And then listen, at the same time, I'll give you a contradictory situation. Okay. If, say, suppose or a colleague of mine comes to me with a problem in their work and I need to solve it, I can't go and ask the guy who's here fixing tires or the women or the company that's fixing tires to fix that solution, right? So I'll use something else. So this is a common problem that we face because when we are raised in a situation where we do not have support from the people around,
Mm-hmm.
what that usually does for people who are used to being alone, they tend to be a little too independent. Okay. And the best part that comes out of it is you put any problem there, they'll be able to solve it or have some backup in the back of their minds. For example, you ask them for help at a completely random thing, they might show up. So that's one of the best perks that you get from trying things on your own. And like you said, this is something that is applicable to any situation. So we talked about English. We talked about how, even if you are experienced in the language, if you fumble, it's because you are not putting yourself out there where you are dealing with different kinds of situations. When it comes
Mm-hmm. Yes.
in life, I would say it's the same thing because we need to push ourselves out there in situations that we're not familiar with to understand how we'll cope with that situation. Correct. Yeah.
Yes, and maybe I think in the having selfie over there only and not finding anyone's in that situation, your reactions would be there. How? I mean, what kinds of reactions would be there? Like, what steps you
Initially, I think,
taken? You should be
yeah,
taken by.
initially, any person's reaction to an unpredictable situation is panic. That is the first
Yes,
reaction that a
that
person,
situation you have to define. Yeah,
yeah.
what would you like to do?
Yeah, but ultimately, even if I were to panic, or even if anybody in that situation is going to panic and they're going to run out of things to talk about, they have to push themselves out there, right? Thinking for the best option doesn't work as much as thinking for a practical option does. So you have to make a mental note of, okay, what am I going to do in this situation? What are the available options that I have, right? And which one is the easiest and the fastest that I can have an access to? Because time waits for no one, right? So to
Yes.
try and maintain efficiency rather than, you know, making the right decision, I would say the efficiency or the brains that go into it is what matters more. And if we can adopt that approach to life, then panic would never be an issue if you're met with an unpredictable situation. And I think this extends to English as well,
Yes.
don't you?
Yes, and wisely and calmly you have to think about how to get up this matters, and then when you start, keeping yourself calm and composed in that critical situation, then you are going to learn and get the multiple ideas within you, I think, because
Yeah,
all
and
the solution within us.
yeah,
The thing is
absolutely.
only we get, quite nervousness. We become quite obsessed for that. Oh
Hmm.
my God, I'm trapped into this, and how to get
Exactly,
out of myself. Oh my God, what will
exactly.
happen with me if I'm unable
Totally.
to do it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
So
like you said, to just remain calm and realize, yeah, this is not the end of the world. We are allowed to feel that panic. We are allowed to try and give ourselves enough space to figure out a solution. Yeah, that helps. So yeah, this is an approach I think we can adopt to our daily life. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So
and
that's the really a great explanation have you given about these
yeah,
matters. I would like to tell you, like, be calm and composed in that critical situation, and
absolutely. I
solutions, all solutions are there for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we said, this is something that we can apply to any situation in life, right? And I'm so glad. See, we had another insightful session. We talked about something that we can connect to English as well and real life problems as well, right? So, yeah, as always, thank you for another entertaining session, Chandan.
Yes, ma'am. So I think we have still 3 minutes. I think we have
Wait,
done only 17.
yeah, usually what happens is when we talk, no, I have to keep a track of the time or else we won't be able to conclude, which was why I was rushing through things. Okay, what do we talk about?
Yes, okay. I think it's what this topic we have exaggerate, I think, a lot, right? So I
Uh,
think we should,
I didn't get you. Yeah, you were saying?
like, we have this topic exaggerate a lot,
Yeah, but at the same
right?
time, don't you think that you put forward this topic, right? So you were asking
Yeah.
about situations and you were asking about what would a person do when they're met with unpredictable situations. And this dates back to the first conversation that we had in the beginning of the session where I asked you what would somebody do if they were quite fluent in the language, okay? And if they are still met with unpredictable situations, they're unable to perform. And you said that okay, being calm helps, being
Yes.
putting yourself out there in different, and in general, if we were to pick another topic, this is what we can undoubtedly say is this is a constant. It's a
Yes.
consistent that we can, go through any problems in life, because I know for a fact that panic has not yielded to anything. It just leads to you sweating a lot and and just overthinking, and that's not going to
For
work.
the,
But that's work.
yes, and for a while it will blind you internally,
Yeah.
like you're unable to find the solutions which is already existence within you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just that. When you look at a situation, and we cannot always depend on other people, right? We
Yes.
have to be independent. We have to make sure that we are able to come up with solutions on our own. And I think even with the learning process, right, of English in general, if you were to look at, okay, yes, you get tutelage, you get advice from tutors, and you practice, but eventually there needs to be something beyond that. We have to put in.
Yes, you're
We have
right.
our own, and that's where the independency comes in. That's where the lack of panic comes. That's where the confidence shines, right? Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I personally believe in, increasing the maturity in self. It should
Mm-hmm.
be the better cause of developing the confidence level within you, I think, at every situations. You can
Absolutely. Yeah.
encounter the multiple phases on every single day, I would say, even in
Yeah, totally.
situations.
Totally. And the fact that you've come so far from how you spoke initially, that itself is a big example, won't you agree?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Yeah, yeah. See, look at, I mean, even if you were to compare our first session together and our session right now, the change is quite drastic. That comes from you pushing yourself, right? And I think,
Ye-
yeah, and I
Yes,
think,
yes, yes.
my regard to, I would say, being a tutor has helped me in trying to learn a lot of new words and a lot of new phrases. And I've been trying to incorporate that into my life as well. So this is something that we can all try to put in a little bit of effort beyond what we are learning through a text or learning through other materials. Put in that extra effort on your own with that independency that you get, and then there's no room for panic. Right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think this is a better way of utilizing more and more data in your conversation, just throwing out the different topic and matters. And this is the
Yeah,
way you are going to get the chance of utilizations of multiple vocabularies and idioms, just in
yeah.
order to modify your statement accordingly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, totally. Yes, yes, absolutely. And yeah, I think we made an excellent point once again. And yeah, thank you so much for the session as always. And then it's always a pleasure talking to you. So yeah,
Yes.
thank
So do
you.
I, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you too.
Bye
Take care.
bye.
Yeah.